This is part 4 of the course, in which we look at how other aircraft operate. Over the past few slides, we've covered a lot about what we need as a glider pilot. But to get the FRTOL, we need to understand how other aircraft will operate around us. Powered aircraft will be using exactly the same RT tools as we do, but will be operating a little differently. We'll demonstrate some of these differences using a motor glider flight which takes off from Sywell and flies directly to Cambridge. For this exercise, we'll be in Falk, Golf Foxtrot Lima Kilo Sierra. We start at Sywell. This is the airfield information chart for Sywell from SkyDemon. Here's the typical flow for a departure from an airfield with air traffic control or AFIS. Firstly, requesting a radio check. Secondly, requesting airfield information or listening to the ATIS if they have one. Thirdly, requesting a taxi clearance. Fourth, it's possible that you'll need a clearance for after departure. And then fifth, announce ready for departure. Let's have a look at that at Sywell. Powered aircraft will ask for a taxi clearance and will generally be given a clearance limit and usually a route.
Golf Foxtrot Lima Kilo Sierra on the GA apron, request taxi.
Golf Foxtrot Lima Kilo Sierra, taxi, holding point Bravo 1.
Taxi holding point Bravo 1, Golf Foxtrot Lima Kilo Sierra.
In this case we don't get a route because it's straight across the grass, but at another airfield we might have been told which taxiways to use. At the hold, we need to get our takeoff clearance. The aircraft does not ask to take off, to avoid the words being used when it is not a clearance. Instead we say we are ready for departure. In this case, because it's an AFIS airfield, we're told to take off at your discretion, to which our response is taking off.
Golf Kilo Sierra, ready for departure.
Golf Kilo Sierra, runway 21, take off at your discretion.
Runway 21, taking off, Golf Kilo Sierra.
Sometimes a conditional clearance is used. The clearance is conditional on something else happening. The condition is repeated at the end of the message. When we reply, we repeat it as we were given with our call sign at the end.
Golf Kilo Sierra, ready for departure.
Golf Kilo Sierra, behind the landing Cessna, line up runway 28 behind.
Behind the landing Cessna, runway 28, line up behind, Golf Kilo Sierra.
Once we're airborne and clear of Sywell, given it's an AFIS airfield, we will trigger the airborne frequency change.
Golf Kilo Sierra, clear of you to the east, changing to Cambridge 120.965.
Golf Kilo Sierra, roger.
We listen to the Cambridge ATIS and discover their radar is active. So their call sign is Cambridge radar. Many airfields have an ATIS, that's an automatic terminal information service, on a discrete frequency. This provides information about the airfield to departing and arriving aircraft without the control having to relay it. So the example written here, this is Cambridge departure and arrival information Yankee at time 1120. Runway in use 23, surface wind 270, 10 knots, visibility greater than 10 kilometers. Clouds scattered at 3,500 feet, temperature 21, dew point 14. QNH 1023, airfield QFE 1021. Radar available. Caution, Gransden Lodge gliding is active. Report information Yankee on first contact with Cambridge. So when an aircraft calls Cambridge, they will include the words information Yankee and the QNH in that call. If there's no ATIS, ATC can be asked for the information. Here's an actual recording of the Cambridge ATIS, in this case without radar and when Gransden Lodge are not active.
Cambridge arrival and departure information line book time 0820. Runway NU's 23. Surface wind 240 degrees 11 knots. Visibility 10 kilometers or more. Cloud view at 4,700 feet. Temperature 6. Dew point 4. Q on H1004 hectopascals. Aerodrome to FE1002 hectopascals. Airfield information radar service not available. On first contact with Cambridge, report information Lima received.
So here's our call to Cambridge radar. Our Falk happens to have a transponder.
Cambridge radar, Golf Foxtrot Lima Kilo Sierra, request traffic service.
Golf Foxtrot Lima Kilo Sierra, pass your message.
Golf Foxtrot Lima Kilo Sierra from Sidewell to Cambridge, 5 miles west of Grafton Water, altitude 3,000 feet, QNH 1020.
Golf Kilo Sierra, Squawk 6121.
6121, Golf Kilo Sierra.
Golf Kilo Sierra, identified 3 miles east of Grafton Water, traffic service. Report 5 miles to run.
Traffic service, Wilco, Golf Kilo Sierra.
As we get to 5 miles from Cambridge, we call them as requested.
Golf Kilo Sierra, 5 miles.
Golf Kilo Sierra, contact Tower 125.905.
Tower 125.905, Golf Kilo Sierra. Tower, Golf Foxtrot Lima Kilo Sierra, request join.
Golf Kilo Sierra, join overhead, runway 23, height 2,000 feet, QFE 997 hectopascals, report aerodrome in sight.
Join overhead, runway 23, height 2,000 feet, QFE 997 hectopascals, Wilco, Golf Kilo Sierra. Golf Kilo Sierra, aerodrome in sight.
Golf Kilo Sierra, roger.
Golf Kilo Sierra, deadside descending.
Powered aircraft may use a standard overhead join. This is where the aircraft arrives 1,000 feet above circuit height and then descends to circuit height on the dead side, the opposite side to the circuit. The default for the circuit direction is left hand, though many airfields specify circuit direction to allow for avoidance of noise sensitive areas. If you don't know the circuit direction, you can ask. The normal calls in the circuit are deadside descending, downwind and final. We will need a clearance to land and a clearance to taxi once we're on the ground and off the runway.
Golf Kilo Sierra, downwind.
Golf Kilo Sierra, roger, report final.
Wilco, Golf Kilo Sierra. Golf Kilo Sierra, final.
Golf Kilo Sierra, runway 23, surface wind 240, 10. Cleared to land.
Runway 23, cleared to land, Golf Kilo Sierra.
Golf Kilo Sierra, vacate via Charlie.
Vacate via Charlie, Golf Kilo Sierra.
Golf Kilo Sierra, taxi hangar 1 via Charlie and Alpha.
Hangar 1 via Charlie and Alpha, Golf Kilo Sierra.
In this case, Charlie is an exit from the runway and Charlie and Alpha are taxiways. They'll all be on the airfield map. Time for practice. Work through the RT calls that will be made in the motor glider flight between Sidewell and Cambridge. At some airfields we may need a departure clearance. A departure clearance is not a clearance to take off. It has instructions to follow once airborne and it must be repeated back in full. Departure clearances are a form of route clearance. The first item is the clearance limit. It's the same with taxi clearances. So a couple of examples. Golf Bravo Alpha Charlie Delta is cleared to the zone boundary at Farringdon. Or London Control clears Golf Papa Foxtrot Charlie Lima, special VFR transit of the London Control Zone, not above 1,500 feet, entering zone southwest of Lambourne. Once airborne, squawk 4530, contact Thames radar 132.7. The whole of the clearance needs to be repeated back to air traffic with our call sign at the end. A potentially useful mnemonic to help you with remembering what to write down for an ATC clearance, it can be simplified to 5 letters. Craft. C for clears or clearance, R for route, A for altitude, F for frequency, and T for transponder code. And here's an example. Bristol radar clears Golf Alpha Bravo Charlie Delta to the zone boundary via Chew Valley Lake, not above altitude 2,000 feet, VFR squawk 5643. Caution, gliding at Mendip Hills. Other calls that might be made whilst you're in the circuit include orbit, extend, touch and go around. Occasionally, air traffic will manage the positioning of traffic by asking somebody to orbit, for example, at one or other end of the downwind leg. Extend is a request to extend the downwind leg for spacing with other traffic. Touch and go means that an aircraft is going to make an approach, land briefly, then take off again. And go around means that an aircraft is going to make a final approach, but then climb again without actually touching the runway. The first 2 of these are feasible in the glider if you're asked, but only if you have enough height. If you don't be afraid to say unable and explain why. Also, don't forget the word standby, which allows you to focus on flying and come back to the communications a little later. Our flights so far have been in the south of England. It's a little different in other parts of the UK. Here's an example of how we might negotiate a crossing of November 560, which is a Class E airway in Scotland. Note that November 560 is a transponder mandatory zone. So if you have a transponder, you don't actually have to ask to be in it, but it would be polite to be in touch. Without a transponder, you need to ask permission. You will receive an approval, not a clearance. Note that INBAS is an IFR waypoint, rather like BGA turning points, but for our IFR traffic. They're useful in this case because controllers know where they are, and many Scottish glider pilots who fly in Wave have them in their nav systems.
Scottish Control, Glider Charlie Delta.
Glider Charlie Delta, pass your message.
Glider Charlie Delta is approximately 10 miles northeast of INBAS, currently at flight level 120, VFR, and intending to track west across November 560.
Glider Charlie Delta, Class Echo airspace crossing approved, no known traffic to affect, report entering.
Roger, Wilco, Glider Charlie Delta.
Glider Charlie Delta entering Class Echo airspace.
Glider Charlie Delta, Roger, maintain VMC, report leaving Class Echo airspace.
Roger, Wilco, Glider Charlie Delta. A few minutes later, we might have the following conversation. Note there's some plain English in here.
Glider Charlie Delta, message.
Pass your message, Glider Charlie Delta.
Glider Charlie Delta, there is an air ambulance in your area tracking south at flight level 130. Report your flight level.
Flight level 90, Glider Charlie Delta.
Glider Charlie Delta, can you maintain flight level 120 or below for the next 10 minutes for coordination?
A firm, flight level 120 or below for the next 10 minutes, Glider Charlie Delta.
And a few minutes later still.
Scottish, Glider Charlie Delta is now clear of November 560, northeast of INBAS and changing en route.
Glider Charlie Delta, Roger, no further traffic to affect, change to en route frequency.
Wilco, Glider Charlie Delta. We could also ask for a clearance into a control zone to thermal. This is how we might do it. In this case, we're assuming it's a Class D zone, so we include our flight rules in the call. Greenfield approach, Glider Golf Alpha Bravo Charlie Delta. Request basic service and zone entry for thermaling.
Glider Golf Alpha Bravo Charlie Delta, Greenfield approach, pass your message.
Glider Golf Alpha Bravo Charlie Delta from Seaton to Seaton, overhead Selden, altitude 3,500 feet, Wessex 1019, VFR, request zone entry to thermal 1 mile north of Hampton.
Glider Charlie Delta, basic service, Greenfield QNH 1020, report 5 miles from Hampton.
Basic service, QNH 1020, Wilco, Glider Charlie Delta. We've been asked to report as we get to 5 miles from Hampton, so we do that. Glider Charlie Delta, 5 miles from Hampton.
Glider Charlie Delta, cleared to enter the Greenfield zone at Hampton to thermal, remain east of Hampton and south of Hartfield Village, VFR, below altitude 6,000 feet, Greenfield QNH 1020.
Cleared to enter the Greenfield zone to thermal, remaining east of Hampton and south of Hartfield Village, VFR, below altitude 6,000 feet, Greenfield QNH 1020, Glider Charlie Delta.